Hi everybody, I'm Jimmy Allinder and welcome to this edition of Sports Talk. With me is the Supervisor of Athletics for East Brunswick High School, Frank Noppenberger. Frank, thanks very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And as we usually do at this time of year, we take a look at the particular season just ended. In this case, it's the spring 2003 season. And we're going to look at all the respective sports and have you comment on some of the successes that the teams have enjoyed as well as some of the players. But I wanted to start off by, since this is our last show for the school year, give you an opportunity to reflect on the season past, the fall, the winter, and the spring. Once again, I'm looking at the totals that you've put down here on paper. Winning total 69%. Which is really excellent when you think about it, because that means that on an average you've won more games than you've lost. But you've been 26 years in the school district. How does this year stack up compared to some of those in the past?
Well, I'm going to avoid that question entirely, but before we get to that, and I will address it as a special thanks to EBTV3 for everything they do for our athletic program and for the kids and the coaches. They appreciate it. And to you and Charlie and everyone else who's volunteered their time, we appreciate it. You don't get enough thank you, but a sincere thank you to you guys.
Well, you're quite welcome, and I also want to express my thanks, because quite honestly, I'm a small part of what really happens behind the scenes, the immense work that goes on with the production crew and the camera crew and everything else. So I also say thanks. Great. But you want to get back to the regular question here about this past year in general. Do you have a good feeling about it?
Well, how about, did I have a good feeling? Yeah, and I got upset in a few of my predictions. The predictions I only make to myself, of course. For instance, could you imagine the girls' soccer team just winning a division and not a conference or a state championship with a Heather O'Reilly and the Barbados and all those other kids coming back, and boys soccer not winning anything? I think this is I've been AD 13 years. In 13 years, it's the first time they're not walking away with some type of hardware. And they had a team as good as any team we've ever had. Just didn't get a break here or there. So when you look at those two teams, didn't get to the state level or the conference championship. But then it was picked up by wrestling, you know. They surprised everyone except for me and the coaching staff. We knew we'd be good. We knew we'd be good in tournaments in that type format. We knew we'd be good in tennis, the boys and the girls tennis. How about Mr. Carney's last year? A great team, great season. Again, you know, we were just on the short end of a couple games here and there. So it seemed like other teams stepped it up and took over some hardware.
That was the point that I wanted to make. Sometimes, I mean, it's very gratifying when a team that you don't expect to do well overachieves, perhaps, but you can't always blame it on like for instance, you mentioned the soccer teams. I have to think that just the rest of the county, rest of the conference has continued to erode into that East Brunswick legacy by the sheer numbers and quality that they bring to competitions. So, but it was a very interesting year, and let's delve deeper into that by talking about the athletes. You start with Heather O'Reilly, tremendous athlete,
tremendous person,
and going to make a name for herself in the
has
future.
Made a name for herself.
But even more
good.
so. But I guess the question, how would you rank her in terms of all-time East Brunswick athletes? Do you want to do that?
After 26 years?
Yeah.
Would she be in the top, I'll go on a limb, top 10? Yeah, I think she's top 10. She may even be top 5.
That's not really my question, though. I want you to mention some of the other athletes that are there.
Well, see, that's a toughie, because there's been so many of them, and over the years, some of them have excelled in a sport, be it basketball. We've had 1,000-point scorers. We have Karen Monaseski, 1,000-point scorer. One year, Reggie had 3 girls scholarship in basketball: Colleen King, Katie Whalen, who's our next coach. We had kids, so everyone excels in their season. So overall, athletic ability, she's as good as anyone. She could have ran track and been a county or conference champ. She played basketball. She was as good as anyone. And of course, soccer, she was better than anyone.
You mentioned
but
a person, right?
Yeah, you're just not to pinpoint one person. I would leave someone out, and I would not want to do that because there's just been so many tremendous athletes over the years. And if you ask me the boys, same thing. You would think maybe like of a Glenn Pazinko. But then there's a Bobby Rushnack, and you know Bobby Rushnack. People say, who's Bobby Rushnack? And years before that, there was a kid like a Mike Neal and these other names, the Dobrinskis, these names that people forget about.
How about Dave Wall?
Dave Wall, more before my 20.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of the athletes that have come out of this school. Brian Forte, Josh Miller.
Right, there's two there I didn't even think of who I coached, so they were there when I was there.
Absolutely.
And, so I'd rather not get into that because we're going to forget someone and we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
All righty. Next question, before we get into the spring 2003 season, there's a lot of 7th and 8th graders. There's a lot of 8th graders about to make the jump into high school. A lot of them are potential athletes, maybe trying to make a decision as to where they might want to go in terms of playing. What advice would you give to an athlete, prospective athlete, who is sort of hedging between playing one sport over another? Are there certain considerations that should be made?
It's a good question, and it really depends on the individual. The first thing I'm going to tell them, I'm going to say, Jimmy, go out there and play everything. Go play baseball today, go play football tomorrow, play basketball the next day. Go to a camp for this, go to a camp for that. Find out what you really, really like. Find out what your passion is. And then take it from there. If you're asking about specialization, which we hinted on before, that's a tough call. If you want to be a scholarship athlete and put all your marbles into being a outstanding lacrosse player, then maybe that's what you want to do. Or do you want to play them all? I don't know, Jim. Is it better to have like a Bobby Mineta, who was our scholar athlete this year? He was I can't remember the last time we had a football, baseball, basketball athlete at the high school. Those 3 sports. 3 completely different type skills.
See, that says a lot.
Got to be very athletic. And when I was talking to his dad, we were discussing if he concentrated on one sport, he may have been able to scholarship in one of those sports. But he didn't. He elected to go all 3. I say just go out there, play, have fun, give it your best. Now you're in your junior year, sophomore year, and you're thinking about college, playing ball in college, soccer, whatever. Then maybe you want to concentrate a little bit more. But don't ever give up the diversity of doing all the different sports. However, I'm sure there's kids on the baseball team that if they didn't do baseball all year round, they wouldn't have been on the baseball team. I'm sure if Danny Lanzano, who's scholarship to Wagner, didn't play baseball and train all year round, he wouldn't be as good as he is. So I don't know what the answer is. And Danny's a good athlete. He played basketball, I believe, his 8th and 9th grade, so he's a good athlete. He probably could have played football for us, but he decided to concentrate. So for him, it worked out. For Bobby Mineta, it worked out. For Danny Miller, it worked out. He played some golf, he enjoyed it. Played a lot of basketball, he loved it. But he played an enormous amount of soccer and dedicated himself to soccer, and now he's scholarship down at Duke. So it's got to depend on the individual and the drive. You need the drive inside you.
The last point is very important, having the drive, and I think you said passion before. Is it dangerous to take the attitude that you're going to choose what sport to play based on the fact that you want to get a scholarship? I mean, how many, put it in perspective, how many get scholarships?
Not many. In my personal opinion, don't play for a scholarship. Don't play because you enjoy it and you love the camaraderie of the teammates. And you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I like seeing my name Noppenberger in the newspaper, or Allinder scores the winning goal. That's good too. But play because you just enjoy it and the memories you get from being on part of a team. And you don't even have to be the starter, Jim. You're part of a team. Memories you'll talk around about for the rest of your life. Remember in high school, And yeah, we did this, we did that. It'll always go back to the teams you played on.
Yes.
So you got to get involved and play as many sports as possible. If you get the urge that you want to be an outstanding swimmer, we have a few that dedicate themselves to swimming, like Kyle King, then do it. Then do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the spring 2003 season, just completed. Just completed, as a matter of fact. We'll start with baseball, if that's okay.
Whatever you want.
The baseball team, coached once again by Tom Hockenjoss, finished at 13-8-1, which, considering the fact they made it all the way to the GMC finals.
Twice. If you had a full scores, we won.
Oh, you want to bring
You know
that up?
story, right?
Okay. Well, a little bit of an explanation.
Well, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were in the. We went down to Somerset Park. We were winning 8-0 in like the bottom of the third, I believe, top of the third actually. We were just knocking the hide off the ball, just doing a great job.
Piscataway.
Against Piscataway, team that beat us twice, and the rains came, and they postponed the game, canceled the game, and of course you got to start from the first inning.
Of course.
So we go back the next time, and they jump out on us. We came back a couple times, but we ended up, losing the game. Not many people expected us to be there. I guess we were there because we played as a team. The kids, they got rid of the I. Danny Lanzano would pitch a game, or he came in relief. Like Sean Cole started, couldn't finish him out. Last inning against Metuchen, Danny comes in, gets all pumped up. He's coming in like Mario. The Yankee comes in and he just like strikes out the side. People were asked to play different positions. They were asked to sacrifice. One particular game in the GMC semifinals, Matt Merrigan was asked to put down a suicide squeeze rather than swing. He put it down and we won the game. So everybody made little sacrifices. Were we the best team in the county? Probably not. Did we have the best pitcher in Danny Lanzano? Probably. And we were able to have him throw 3 of those games. Yeah. But we had good team chemistry. Like Bobby Mineta, as I mentioned, Sean Cole came in, pitched well against Carteret in the quarterfinals. So they all came together. We got a young star in this kid, Chris Affinito, 8 homers. He's only a sophomore. He's getting a lot of ink for his hitting because he can hit the long ball. But then we had 2 younger kids, juniors, that played a lot of baseball for us. 3, actually. Matt Metch came in relief in one game against North Brunswick and did a great job, and he plays shortstop. So we got a shortstop coming back, we got a catcher coming back. Matt also pitches. We got a kid named Andy Silver who played some pretty good third base. And we got Andy Anderson coming back who had a hot stick at the end of the year. So we got a nice nucleus of kids coming back, and we had some nice senior leadership. They set the tone.
Chemistry was what it was all
good
about.
Chemistry.
But I also will make this observation. I think about 10 years ago, maybe we sat down at this time and we'd look at the baseball team and we would say another year of under 500. It seemed to be a trend.
Well,
East Brunswick
you
would
and
never
I
go
always
over the
talk
top.
about that, and I always disagree with you. I think our baseball program is as rich as anyone in the county. We have 3 more. We're the second highest number of county or / conference championships.
I just think the number of individuals that are playing for East Brunswick High School now, the baseball team, they've brought it up to another level where it's almost the expectation is that they're going to do well.
Well, Anderson, full-time baseball.
See.
Silver, baseball, basketball, leans more towards baseball. Danny Lanzano, best pitcher, as I told you, concentrated on baseball. And so maybe for them it worked out.
Yeah. Let's move on to the other diamond. Softball, coached by Kevin Brady, just a 20-3 record. There's another program that's really just was good, but now has really become a hallmark for the county.
Yeah, well, Reggie did a good job starting that way back then. Won a couple divisions for us, took us to the county finals, I believe. Reggie Carney, that is.
Yes.
The girls, we lost on the last play of the game in the bottom of the 7th in the sectional championships, and you're not happy that the girls are upset and crying, but it's good to see that they cared that much and they wanted to win so bad, and although we were disappointed we lost, it was a good feeling to know, boy, these kids were really into it and they enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
they got over it very quickly. But I'm sure if you talk to the girls, they didn't reach their goals or expectations. We won the red division. We beat up everyone in the red division. Came to the conference tournament. You know, we took a day off. The Yankees take a day off now and then. Everything we hit was right at them, so we got upset. Now we're playing in the county final or the sectional finals. We're hitting the ball. They get a little bloop, a this or that, a play at the plate, and then the game's over. But Jill Masterton, who was probably one of our leaders, outstanding shortstop, she's going to play at Lafayette. She was a great 4 years with us. Dara Gadziella's a pitcher. She's an all-county, all-conference pitcher. Jamie Assini's been around for 3 years. She played any position we asked her to. Valerie Stobbs started at third base for 4 years. So we had a lot of kids that hung around for 3 or 4 years to win those titles, although they didn't win the one they wanted probably at the end. There's no doubt in my mind, to a person they would say that it was worth it and they loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Playing for Coach Brady, they really enjoy that. Coming back, we have an Amy Krajewski, who was our outstanding junior athlete this year, and we have our catcher Stephanie Dowd coming back. We're looking for the pitcher to make the difference, because as you know, in softball, that's where it's about. I think we'll hit the ball. I think we're pretty good in fielding, but we're just looking for that pitcher out there.
I'm looking at the number of games that were played. I'm amazed that you were able to get that many. This was such a weird season weather-wise, and I wonder how that affected the teams. You know, having stretches of time off where they couldn't play, probably couldn't practice.
Well, a credit to Coach Brady and Coach Hockenjoss and their assistant coaches. They improvised inside. You know, they simulated hitting as much as they could. We went outside as much as we could. And we were as even with anyone. No one got an advantage on us. I think we got an advantage because they were innovative in their indoor practices.
Okay, that's softball. Great season. Let's continue with boys golf, coached by Bo Henning, who, what year is he in as far as?
This has got to be his 13th or 14th year of golf coach.
Oh, wow. 10-4 record. Talk about the golf team.
Another team, Jim, that made it to the county finals, conference finals, second place. In the springtime, we had a lot of those people in second place all year. We had a lot of teams didn't win the gold in the conference, but they certainly were there. And they came up big in a lot of no names, but they came up big in the county final, conference final. They took a second. Evan Wall, who's our team MVP, he's an 11th grader. And a 9th grader, our most improved, is Steve Ahn, A-H-N, only a 9th grader. So I think we're going to get better as we go along. And golf in East Brunswick is pretty popular. A lot of kids coming out.
Any girls?
Yeah, we had one girl this year. We're working on getting more attracted to the sport. We're teaching it a lot in phys ed because some of them have never been exposed to it. Right now it's up and down with the number of kids, but we're working on getting more girls out there.
You talk about phys ed. Sometimes that's all it takes for the spark to be lit in terms of deciding what they want to do.
Well, that's
just
why
being exposed to it.
when we have guys like Keith Lane teaching golf down at Churchill and Bo Henning and Reggie Carney teaching it, you know, their enthusiasm is contagious to these kids, and they pick it up.
Let's move over to the Cinders. Well, not really
Cinders?
Cinders anymore. I guess we're dating myself, huh?
Track?
Yes, the boys and girls track team. The boys coached by Don Mandy, 5-2 record. Not a lot of dual meets, naturally. This is a sport where the conference gatherings tend to be the focus sometimes.
The invitational meets, absolutely.
But talk about the success of Don Mandy's boys team, 5-2, and the girls track team, coached by Kevin McAvoy, 5-2 as well.
Right. Well, dual meets were as good as anyone because we can compete. We have the numbers and we have the depth. We didn't have that many outstanding athletes. Although this year, boys had Alex Schatzgoff, who was one of our better runners this year, better runners in the county, I meant to say, running. So he took a lot of gold home for us. And then we had James Correa, the football player, who was the conference champion in shot put. So we had a few individuals, but we had like a Cliff Gerber and a Lucas Welsh, middle distance runners that added a lot of depth to us. I believe we took a third in the conference championships, and that's what we were expected to be. And there's another name, and you know him, Brian Robinson, first year out for track. It's going to help him immensely. Mr. Borden talked him into running track to help him with his speed, and he improved as the year went along. We achieved where we thought we would, a couple of kids individually, and then we had a kid like a Mark Hanna, who was just a joy to coach. He's a young kid, probably never got his name in the paper. He was at every practice, he was enthusiastic, and the coaches just loved him being a good kid. And then we had a kid, Ryan Williams, who is a junior who's up at Cornell, I guess at this weekend up there for a visit. He's a track star, a good student, and being a track star helps him get up there to Cornell. And so maybe he'll go there next year, you never know. But the boys track team, real good year this year for them. Girls track, Coach Mack says that Zena Hazori is maybe our best hurdler ever in the school history. Time-wise, she is.
Interesting.
Accolades, I'm not sure. We had a Corey Herbst, who was an outstanding improvement for us as one of our award winners. Roxanne Ingram, a senior who provided leadership. We have a young kid who is the county sprint champion as a sophomore, Jim. Sophomore sprint champion, Brittany Hahn. You're going to hear a lot about her in the next few years. We have a high jumper, I believe she's a junior, Dana Lateplo. She took a second or a third in the conference. And then there's another junior runner who's pretty good, is Christine Tishio. Not sure if we're ready to win that county championship, but we're certainly going in the right direction.
Okay, great. That's the track. Now we move on to lacrosse, which is continuing to build in its popularity, and now at East Brunswick really starting to enjoy some success. The boys, coached by John Lamella, 10-7.
Right, that's the...
I'm sorry, that's the boys lacrosse team. Right, Cindy Totoro.
That's the girls, right?
Yes.
All right, John Lamella with us second year, most wins ever for a high school, an East Brunswick lacrosse team. Great athletes out there, but you know what you need, Jim? And I'm not, maybe I'm contradicting myself. We need more kids to be full-time lacrosse players.
Wow.
Well,
How can that happen?
Got Ernie Fusco, who's a full-time lacrosse player, but
That's true.
you need 3, 4, maybe 5 on a team.
I see.
We got a kid like Danny Fessel and Matt Mariano.
Yeah, but Danny's a football player, though.
Well, they're football players, and Danny's a basketball player.
Yeah.
And they're not developing as quick. If they concentrated, maybe they'd be all state. And then we had a John Riffenberg, who was a one-sport kid for us, that did a real good job. And Ben Nevid, our MVP, was a goalie. So our MVP was a full-time lacrosse kid. Ernie gave up the football, but he's concentrating on lacrosse, and he's one of the better players in the state.
I would say so.
As a scorer. Yeah. So that's what's holding us back, but it's no effort of the coaching staff. Coach Hansen, Coach Lamella, and their parent group is outstanding in support. And before long, you know, we'll be contending for championships.
Okay, terrific. We're going to have to breeze through these last two sports, and I hate to do that.
Girls lacrosse. Girls lacrosse.
Okay, we got to go girls lacrosse.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Girls lacrosse won, again, the unofficial county championship. The conference doesn't have enough schools. They were led by our MVP, Caitlin Park. Michelle Burson was an all-conference reformer in goal for us. Stephanie Blanner and Sherry Miller will be underclassmen who'll come back and try to repeat that unofficial championship. Girls lacrosse will be successful because of people like Coach Todoroff, and she'll give the same attention as she does to field hockey. Boys tennis. Boys tennis, maybe the best ever we've had. Coach Pell here.
He's still there.
Number 4 or 5 in the state. Vivek Subramanian was the second best player in the state. He was all state. Just an exceptional year for our tennis team. They are coming back. Most of them are coming back. Ross Ross Switkus, who's not coming back, was a county champ, but we had a lot of other ones coming back. Jay, Ela, David. They're coming back, and their goal, Jim, get this, is state championship.
Why not?
Well, because they know we're that close. Yeah, sure. We lost to Marlboro by just, it was a 4-1 score, but it was a lot closer than that. So to Coach Pell, Vivek, congratulations on a great team. They
Yeah.
really put East Brunswick back on the map.
And a team that put it, oh, God, you were going to say
No,
something?
I'm just going to go into this because I know you're rushing.
No, that's okay. No, I wanted to
Boys
lead you in. I was
volleyball.
going to say, well,
You
this
go.
is a team that put it all together. This is the state champion right here.
Another team effort.
Yeah.
Coach Dinex, and you know, they just did a great job this year. The coach, Greg and Charlie, just did a great job molding the team. One of our better players, arguably our best player, Hunter. Greg Hunter was out of the lineup for about 7 games.
Yeah, really made a difference, too.
Oh, yeah, because
St.
there was
Joe's.
one team that we lost to without him, and
Right.
we came back with him and beat him 3 times, one for the county championship, one for the conference championship. But so he ends up being first team All-State. Our other All-State player is Tony Yates. He's only a junior. But Mike McAndrew, second team All-State. There's a lot of people upset that he didn't make first team. It's
Yeah.
close. Then you have really outstanding players, Mike Bukowski, Kyle Morales. Kyle's going to the Air Force Academy.
That's right.
And you got 2 young kids, Brian Johnson and Eric Nowicki, who know what it's like to play in a state championship game and what it takes to get there. Now there's a sport, again, that these guys, straight volleyball. Tony Yates is a great athlete. He could be playing varsity soccer. Greg Hunter could be playing varsity soccer or basketball. He's a heck of a shooter. But they've concentrated on their individual sport. Mike McAndrew was our point guard this year in basketball, but he also played some volleyball. So the volleyball and the Coach Rutz and Coach Chinex, congratulations. And all the accolades they get is well deserved.
Well, the common theme in our discussion this afternoon has been, maybe we are in an age of specialization, but take the time to seek out that sport that you really want to excel in, have the passion to do it,
Right.
and see it through, expose yourself to a lot of stuff. Well,
And let me just interject and a
Sure.
thank you to all the parents out there, because when we talked about all these kids, every one of their parents supported them throughout their career. They drove them to games. They drove them to camps, to clinics, and supported them with mental support, and of course the money is needed.
mental support. I like
But you get people like the Miller family that just supported Danny throughout, and the O'Reillys, driving them all over the country, and the Mastertons. And that's what it takes.
Sure.
You need the parental support, the school support, and the kids got to have the passion. But go ahead.
Thank you, Frank Noppenberger. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Talk. For Frank Noppenberger, this is Jimmy Allinder saying thanks for being with us.